One of the first CDs I ever remember buying with my own money was The Downward Spiral by Nine Inch Nails, but that was quickly taken away by my mother. The second was Dave Grusin's album, The Gershwin Connection. To me, this cue always sounds more like that album than any Williams I've heard. I wonder what led Williams to compose in such a fashion. It almost sounds like a strange mix of rock, jazz, and at times, even smooth jazz. It sounds like the music one would hear in the back of those cheesy 80s corporate videos. Maybe that's what Williams was going for all along. This approach works well dramatically because Peter has transformed from the heroic Peter Pan into the corporate pirate Peter Banning. Harmonically, a main idea of this cue is the use of seventh chords with a suspended fourth. Sometimes he also includes the third. A second idea is the use of major chords with a dominant seventh in the bass. A third and perhaps most important idea is Williams' choice to use second-level money chords. These money chords are specifically voiced chords, the same type a jazz pianist would use. They are constructed to showcase the dissonance between the notes. Sometimes they also contain added notes. Here is a level 1 dollar bill voicing of Williams' piano idea in bar 12. This may have been what he initially thought about the piano while he was composing, but here is his revoiced Benjamin Franklin money voicing of the same chord. We can see he has added an F, and this F rubs with the G above it and the G above that. This B-flat bass note rubs with the C in the chords. It's the same general idea as the level 1 voicing. It plays the same harmonic role as the dollar bill voicing. It's just been voiced by a professional. If you are interested in how the controlled use of rubs play a crucial role in harmony, you can check out Stratisound's harmony course, which covers the topic in depth. Generally, when I transcribe, I don't map or grid anything out ahead of time. I do it completely by ear, letting my musical intuition guide the process. I don't know ahead of time where a bar of 5/4 is. I just figure it out as I go. When I was finished with this transcription, I found myself curious to see if it was done to click, so I opened it up in Logic's Smart Tempo engine. And to my surprise, I saw small variances in the tempo, the same which happens only when humans play without a click. But look how small these variances were. This was a very tight performance by these musicians on a very difficult piece of music. Given the difficulty, I'm nearly certain that the players got this at least the evening before the session, possibly even more than that. I suppose it is possible that the most elite session players, each at the top of their game, could have performed this in a 3-hour session, but it would have been a stressful situation. For fun, I've been playing this over on the piano this week, and I'll point out some of the most difficult parts for the pianist. Of course, the 16th note passages are somewhat difficult due to their fast speed. But after a few readings, the brain begins familiarizing itself with the notes, and it becomes disproportionately easier. At this point, the music exists in between memorization and being completely unfamiliar. This is the place where session players thrive. Perhaps the most difficult part on the piano comes right after these 16th note passages. This jump here and this one here are musically athletic and are easy to miss. It is also very easy to over-accent these notes following a stressful jump, which I imagine probably happened on the first few reads of the piece. A second keyboardist was also hired for the date. They mainly played an electric piano sound, which I assume was his very popular DX7 stock electronic piano patch. This DX7 patch, when combined with the Lexicon 224 reverb, sounds like this. During the second half of this cue, the keyboardist was occasionally playing a synthy string sound, which is sort of hard to hear but is definitely there. We can hear some oscillation in the tone, which leads me to think that there was a mod wheel used as well. At one or two places, they were playing both keyboard sounds at the same time. I am guessing that this was one player with two keyboards set up on top of each other, each with their own sustain pedal and possibly volume pedal. I'm not sure if the DX7 can trigger two patches at once, but this split keyboard approach is traditionally what is seen in the studio. From my studies of other Williams groove tracks, I think he would have presented a detailed roadmap style chart, which would leave the player a bit of room for improvisation. He first would present an idea of what he wanted included, and then would switch to slashes and other shorthands in the bars following it. So the main idea was certainly there, but every bass drum hit or hi-hat pedal note wasn't necessarily notated. The drummer was given a small amount of room for improvisation, definitely more so than any of the other players at least. One of the things I also noticed about the cue was that the flute player was almost certainly played by a doubling saxophone player. Often a saxophone doubler will have a slightly rougher tone than a purely classical player, and that's what clued me in here. Williams probably requested this from the contractor, which tells me he was more concerned with the player fitting into the groove than having a perfectly pure classical tone. This video was sponsored by Stratisound's course, Composing for Cinematic Big Band with Gordon Goodwin. If you are interested in learning more about jazz composition, this is the course for you. To finish up, let's play through the mini demo of my transcription. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next video. you.